And I will say, greetings, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Dreamscapes. Today we have our friend Katie from Indiana. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
Hello. And Katie's going to share a dream with us. As per my usual process, I'm just going to sit quietly and listen for the description, beginning to end, and then we'll go back through it again, and then we'll try and make sense of it together. So I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay, so the dream I had, I dreamt about I got in trouble with my mom for trying to contact this person that I'm not on good terms with right now, and trying to get some of their friends to say some. Well, the friends that I contacted said that they were gonna tell this person how much I cared about them, and I got in trouble for that too. After that, there was like this cutscene type of thing. Well, I think I eventually was talking to this person that I'm not on good terms with, and we were friends again.
Okay. Was there more, or that's the whole dream?
And that's pretty much it.
Oh, you're going a little robotic, pixelated there. I think you're back. Maybe just say something so I can be sure.
Mhm.
I see you moving again. You just say hi one more time.
Hi.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's all resolved. Okay, good deal. And for anyone watching and listening, dreams don't have to be long. We can make something out of this anyway. It's very short, but I think there's a lot more there than just the brief description you gave, and we're gonna go through that together. So we'll start that process now. So you began it by saying you got in trouble with your mom because you were trying to contact a person with whom you are not on good terms. Um, can you describe a little bit about the very beginning of the dream, the first thing you remember in terms of the environment you were in, the physical surroundings? Where were you? What were you doing?
Yeah, it was some setting in my house, and I was in my parents' room, and my mom just said that she was gonna and take away the apps that I was using to contact this person.
So you say you were in your home, and it was recognizably your home from the surroundings, and you were actually in your parents' room,
Mhm.
talking to them, and your mother was present. Was anyone else there?
No.
Is there anything unique or different about the way your mother appeared in the dream? Did she look pretty much like she does in real life, or was there something different compared to real life?
She looks pretty much the same as she does in real life.
Okay. Um, Based on how the room was configured in the dream, pretty much similar to real life. Where were you guys standing or sitting in relation to each other?
Um, we were both sitting on the bed, which looks pretty much what looks like what it does in real life.
So sometimes you go to your mom's room or your parents' room and you sit on the bed and talk to her. That's consistent with real life.
Mhm.
Okay. And um, so you were sitting next to her, relatively close.
Mm,
Okay. And in this part of the dream right there, you were you had already messaged this person, or you were about to, or you were in the process of doing it. Where were you at?
um, I wasn't. Stuff already happened.
So at this point, in the very beginning of the dream, already you had messaged that person, and now what's happening is you're having a discussion with your mother about what happened.
Yeah, because the original events is kind of like parallel to what happened in real life, like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so this is you feel actually directly related to a real life scenario where you did actually message someone you were not on good terms with, and now you're kind of dreaming about the fallout of what the consequences might be.
Those consequences didn't happen in real life. It just happened in a dream.
Okay. Well, let me try and be a little more clear in my own mind about what happened. So, in the dream, you had already messaged this person, and in fact, a couple weeks ago in real life, you had messaged, say, the same person, or is the dream person you messaged someone different?
It was the same person.
Same person. Okay. Okay. Well, let's set aside the idea that this actually something similar actually happened, because we're going to come back. We'll come back around to that. But I want to get the say the dream imagery and process, not process, but progress, clarified in my mind. So don't let me forget to come back to that. I think that's very relevant. So you're sitting on your mom's bed talking to her as you do. That's not strange compared to your real life experience, and you are having already messaged someone in the past, and now you're having this discussion about it. Do you remember if you spoke first or she spoke first? Was this something you guys already knew? You were both on the same page? You knew what you were talking about, or did you have to explain anything? Can you tell me a little more about how that interaction played out?
And my mom was the first person to speak, and that's just how it went the whole time. I don't know.
Okay.
Can't remember what I said, if I said anything.
Okay. It's possible you didn't. If you don't remember saying anything, yeah, maybe you actually did not speak in the dream. You were just listening. Did you have your phone in your hands in the dream?
No, it was in where it usually was.
It was, say, in your room. It wasn't present with you and your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is the in the dream? Did you get the sense that it was your phone you were using to reach out to this person? That's what you mentioned. Apps.
Yes.
Okay. So can you tell me, as close to a quote as possible, but it doesn't matter if it's actually a quote. What was she saying about the situation? What do you remember her words?
And she said, "I told you not to have contact with this person," and that's just how it went.
Okay. Did you get the sense that she was experiencing an emotion related to that statement? Was she angry, or
said it in an angry tone?
In your dream experience, it was an angry tone. She was upset.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a sense of why she was upset? Because was it directly related to you disobeyed? I'm angry because you didn't do what I told you, or she was upset because of something else she was afraid of that would happen to you as a result of that?
This kind of goes back to the idea of the in real life experience, because back in February, she told me not to have any contact with that person.
Okay. Well, trying to keep it focused just on that dream experience, did you get the sense that there was a specific reason for her to be upset? That it was related to you or something else?
I think it was the same reason as it would be in real life, that she told me not to make any contact with this person after what happened in February.
So you feel like the the reason for her behavior in the dream was consistent with her real life personality. And would you say that she was most upset about being disobeyed, or was she upset because she was afraid for your sake? Did you see the difference between those reasons to be angry?
It was because I disobeyed.
Okay,
that.
gotcha. So she told you, she said in kind of an angry tone, I told you not to have contact with that person. And what happened kind of immediately next in the dream? Do you remember doing anything?
The next thing that happened is that she deleted the apps that I was using.
Now, that's why I asked you if your phone was with you in your mom's bedroom while you guys were sitting on the bed. So did she get up? Did you guys walk out of the room together to go to where your phone is?
It was kind of like a cutscene thing.
Okay.
It just happened.
So what's the next kind of visual image you remember? Suddenly you were somewhere else. Where was it?
I think I was in the living room in my house.
Okay. And it was still just you and your mom? No one else was present?
It was just me at this point.
It was just you there. And so your mom wasn't there. So rather than watching her delete the apps, you were in the living room and you had the sense that she was somewhere else completing that task?
Oh, wait, no. The apps were already deleted when I went to the next part of the dream.
Okay. So the next part of the dream was you in the living room, and what you felt was that the apps had already been deleted, that was the result of the talk.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you guys were sitting on the bed in her room, she didn't mention anything about what she was going to do? You just cut scene and you knew what had happened?
No, she also said that she was going to delete the apps.
Do you remember how she said it? What words she used? Do you have a sense of that?
She said she was going to delete these apps.
Okay. And when she went from I told you not to do it to here's what I'm going to do about it, did the emotional feeling you got from her change at all with that second statement? It was the same same emotional presentation. Okay. So the next thing you remember, you're standing in the living room, sitting in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew that she had followed through. She did what she said she was going to do. The apps were deleted.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you do in the living room? What behavior or action happened next?
I was just checking the phone only to see that the apps were gone and I was using.
So you had your phone with you now in the living room?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you remember turning on the phone, looking through the apps?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you describe a little bit of that? How that worked? What you saw? What you did?
I saw the apps that I knew were deleted was Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok.
So you went specifically to see, are those things still there? And they were gone.
Yeah, they were gone.
Okay. Do you remember what you were thinking or feeling at that time when you confirmed that, or while you were looking and then after you confirmed it?
I was really sad.
Okay. Was it a feeling of sadness, or was it kind of a really strong, almost tearful feeling of sadness?
It was a strong type of sadness.
Thinking back on it now, kind of putting yourself back in that moment, what were you sad about? What does the loss of those things mean to you?
Well, I mainly use some of those apps to have talk to some people and entertainment. I also really, really want to be friends with the person that I'm having issues with again.
I missed, I think, part of that last bit. I think the video's kind of hanging up again. So you said you use the apps for entertainment, but also communication with people, and something related to the person you weren't supposed to have contact with. What was that last part? I think you might have froze up again.
I was sad because I really, really want to be friends with that person again.
Okay. Sorry if I'm quiet. Sometimes when I'm writing, I can't. Sometimes I can't think and write at the same time. Okay, so you confirmed that the apps were gone, and you said there was a what happened next then? What was the most immediate next thing that happened? Did more happen in the living room, or did you move to another part of the dream? Yeah, I'll throw the recording back on, and if you would please, I'm so sorry, give one more attempt at just describing what you've been trying to tell me, and we keep losing each other. Go ahead.
Okay, so I said I went to another cutscene, and I think I was texting with my best friend on the person I was having issues with.
Are you still there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I wasn't sure if it cut out or not. So you were in the living room, and then cutscene, and now you're somewhere else. Where are you?
I think I was still in the living room, but this was like a different time than the previous part.
Okay, so you actually had a cutscene that didn't change scene as much as time. There was the feeling that this was now later in the same day on a different day.
I'd say maybe a different day or like a week.
Okay. So the idea of time passing and then attempting to reach out. And you said you were texting with your best friend and the person you were not allowed or not supposed to contact, or is that the same person?
Well, it was one of those two. I'm not sure which one.
Okay. And what do you recall texting about? Or were you responding to a text initially, or were you the first one to reach out?
I just said hi to the person I was talking to, and we just kind of talked about regular stuff.
Okay. Do you remember quite exactly what you were saying back and forth, or is it just more the impression that you were just having a normal conversation, nothing important?
I kind of feel like we were talking about anime.
Okay. And that's something you enjoy in real life, and something you've connected with people about in the past?
Yes.
How did you feel at that moment? Did you have any strong emotions present? Happy, sad, angry, scared? Yeah.
I feel pretty happy.
Okay. And then kind of what happened next in that part of the dream?
Let's say the next part was like a few hours later, maybe a day, and me, my best friend, and the person I was having issues with, we were all at the mall hanging out, having fun.
So can you describe to me just a little bit about who exactly was there? So that was your best friend was one person, and who else?
the person I was having issues with.
Okay. And those were the only three people present? You, your best friend, and the other person?
Mm-hmm.
It was not a larger group of people with you?
No.
Okay. And you described having fun. Do you remember doing anything specific in the mall? Going to a specific store, walking around, hitting the food court?
And we were just walking around.
Can you describe a little bit about what you saw while you were walking around? Which direction were you on? The bottom floor? Was it two-story? Were you looking over the balcony? Were you walking next to specific stores?
I think that we were walking in this area by a Hot Topic.
Okay.
There's stores around, but I don't know which ones those are. I've been to this place in real life. I just don't pay attention to clothing stores.
Gotcha. The strongest impression was, at least you were near a Hot Topic in a recognizable area that you had been before with these two people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then did you get a sense of how these other people felt towards you in that moment of walking around the mall?
Both of them were pretty happy too. Yeah, like everything was fine.
Okay. Did anything else happen in the mall? Did you do anything together? Did you go to a destination, or did you know if you were heading towards a specific destination?
No.
Okay. Was that just basically the end of the dream? The dream ended there in the mall with you guys walking around feeling happy to have been brought back together?
Yes.
Okay. Good deal. So there was a little more there than you gave originally, which I told you to expect, and that's certainly no problem. Before I get into making my suggestions, I like to ask people if they now, after having gone through it once and again in greater detail, if now you have maybe your own connections that came to mind while you were giving the description.
What do you mean exactly by that?
Well, there's an experience of sudden realization that people have sometimes where suddenly you're thinking about an idea and another idea comes to mind and you put them together and you go, oh, that kind of feeling. Did you have any experience like that?
Well, I wouldn't say right now, but like, late last night and today, I feel like my best friend is gonna play a huge part in the future. It's later with this person that I'm having issues with.
Okay. And when you say play a huge part in it, you mean they will be a key factor in accomplishing some kind of resolution or bringing you back together? What do you mean specifically?
I think there would be like some sort of key to bring us back together.
Okay. So this would probably be a good time to now go back to, you said this is a dream you relate specifically to a real life circumstance. You are having issues with someone that your mother had told you to just stop talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you comfortable saying a little bit more about why you were recommended to stop talking to them, or why you were having issues with them? You can be a little vague without identifying them, but just the nature of the conflict or falling out. How would you describe that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind explaining the whole story. It's a long one, so.
Okay, I mean, maybe try to sum it up, but we got plenty of time. Go ahead and tell me maybe a little bit about the circumstances. Yeah.
So back in February, I went to this school show, and And I gave them constructive criticism of their performance in that play, and they hadn't made any contact with me at all that week, and I was really worried, and I didn't realize this at the time, but I was really over texting them.
Okay.
And then the Monday at school, they texted me saying that they didn't want to be friends, and I was really upset that day and trying to get them back. So that's when my parents did not get contact with me, because they went to the dean at my school and reported me saying that I was stalking them, which I wasn't.
Wow.
Yeah. So I thought things just went downhill that night with my parents, which is not relevant. But that my mom did say then that I shouldn't try to contact them again.
Okay.
So a few months go by, and in May I thought, hey, I gave them space for a while. Maybe they would be willing to talk to me now. And I tried doing that, and they still didn't want to talk to me. And at that point, I thought they were just being a bully. So, so during September, I tried once again to try to fix things, and then I let the anger get the better of me, and I made a post on the school drama page about them, and my best friend told me after that they didn't want to be friends because I was over texting them, and I regretted it so much. And I told the page to take that post down, which they did take the post down.
So I just want to be clear in the your best friend at the time reported what the other person was saying, that they still didn't want to be friends, or this time it was your best friend who said she's out and broke off the friendship?
My best friend told me a lot about how they felt.
Okay. So this best friend is still currently a best friend?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was actually having issues with them, but when this friend said that the other person said that they didn't want to be friends with me, we magically became friends again. And well, we were taking a month break at the time, so I think that had something to do with it.
Okay.
But back to the main issue.
Sure.
And a few days go by, and I thought I'd make up for that negative post with a positive post on the positivity page for my school.
Sure.
And nothing really happened with them after that. I just decided that I'm gonna see what happens if I give them space for 6 months instead of 4 months.
Sure. And that's where you're at right now, in that space. You're in the space of giving them space.
And I just feel like I'm not gonna get over this person until we were able to talk through things a little bit, or they decide to be friends with me again.
Okay.
I feel like I will probably live in regret and depressed for the rest of my life. It's been taking a toll on my mental health.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty intense experience that you're having a lot of feelings about, and it's on your mind a lot. Certainly, if you're having dreams about it, that is an indication that it's something important to you.
There's other stuff that's been happening too. Like, my gut tells me everything's gonna be fine, and I've been seeing numbers like a 444, 111,
Okay.
1011, numbers like that.
Interesting. I also have a sense of not satisfaction, but it draws my attention to see repeating digits. I have that experience, and it kind of makes me happy. Like if I look at the clock and it's 11:11 a.m., I like it. I like it that I saw that happen in that moment. Makes me happy. It's a little small pleasure. So I understand that impulse to see those things. Personally, I'm not sure they mean anything in terms of prediction or signs, omens of the future, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Me too. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a good place to be. Just open-minded, but not convinced of specific things that may not have a logical connection. We're not sure about that. It's interesting. I love repeating digits. I love it, and I have a strong sense of things being meaningful when they're random. But I don't know what to do with it either. But I get you. I just wanted you to know where I understand where you're coming from on that. So this seems like we don't have to do a lot of interpreting the dream because it seems pretty concrete that this is something you want. Let's break it down in terms of kind of the progress of the dream. You had the real life experience, and because, say, the dean of your school had contacted your parents to say this looks like stalking, whether that's an accurate description or not, your parents get involved and they say, you got to stop. You just have to stop. And so to be in the dream and to have your mother saying, I told you have to stop, and she's upset that you didn't follow through. That makes perfect sense, that you have this urge to reach out that's still with you, that's been with you the whole time, and you actually have to actively resist that urge to reach out. In the dream, you're giving into that urge, and you're expecting the result. Your mother is going to be unhappy with that. And in real life, did she say, look, if you keep contacting them, yes, I will delete these apps off your phone? Was that a consequence she said was possible?
I don't recall if she said what the punishment would be, but
okay, fair enough. And it may be related, but that's that could be just your mind's invention of a reasonable consequence. That if I use these things to do something I'm not supposed to, my parents would step in and take it away from me to enforce their boundaries that they're trying to set. That makes sense.
Now that I remember the situation, at the time I did get TikTok and Instagram taken away for a few months.
In the past, that did happen. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. And how did that feel when you lost those tools for communication and entertainment?
I was upset at the time, and originally my mom said I wouldn't be able to contact anyone else for a month, but that didn't end up happening because I had a meltdown that night that she said that.
Yeah. I mean, that ability to reach out and connect with other people.
I even needed to talk to my friends at the time.
That's pretty important to you. Yeah. And this dream seems to be about that, the importance of those connections. And in a very broad sense, the wish fulfillment of the fact that you want everything to work out. This is the desired end result that you're looking for, and your brain's kind of giving you that hopeful fantasy in a way, because it's literally a dream world where this is happening. So that's the fantasy element, the completion of the desire being fulfilled in the dream. Where were we at in terms of? I was curious about the transition, and because you were in the living room, and the apps had been deleted, but then the cut scene to, maybe you said, a different week, and the apps were back, and that's how you were able to communicate again?
It was the regular texting app that comes with the phone, but
just regular texting.
I think at that point I did have those apps back.
Okay, but that's interesting. In the dream, you weren't using them. You were using an alternative method of communication. Which, what do you make of that? What do you think?
Um, well, I think, well, maybe it wasn't a week per se, and maybe it was a few months after that, because I get the sense that things were fine then, too, when with that, texting scene.
Okay, that sometime in the intervening space, something had resolved itself. Things had sorted it out. Giving it the idea of giving it time had paid off with reconnection.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, yeah. That's what I was saying. It seems like the dream is pretty concrete in terms of this is what you want to have happen, and your dream is giving it to you in a kind of hopeful sense of yeah, look, everything's fine, because that's what you really hope for. That's what you really want to accomplish. Um, yeah, in terms of the interpretation, I mean, does that make sense to you? That this is just a pretty straightforward dream about what you hope will happen.
yeah.
Okay. Does that description or summary leave out anything important, or does it seem kind of directly related? What do you think?
And that's not pretty accurate.
Okay, good deal. I think the more interesting, not interesting, but maybe more important conversation is to maybe talk a little bit around the issue itself. Are you interested in doing that?
Yeah.
Okay. Where to start? Uh, have you, as much as you want? Let me back this up. Your best friend, boy or girl?
Um, they're, a trans man.
Oh, fair enough. And the person you have lost contact with that does want to talk to you currently. Uh, how would you describe that person?
What do you mean by that?
I guess what I'm asking is this a potential romantic interest?
Um, yeah, they were, but they had already rejected me before everything happened, so I'm just fine with being just friends with them.
Okay, gotcha. That was I had a sense that that was likely, and I wanted to confirm. I didn't want to. I don't know. It's a little awkward to ask people that sometimes, and I feel like I feel like I'm prying, but I think it is important. I think there's definitely a part of you that maybe at least a part of you that is still hoping for that possibility. And it seems like that's a big driving force of trying to hang on to this connection is having difficulty letting go of that. Really, I mean, you say, and I believe you, and I think it's true that you're fine with just being friends, but that seed of hopefulness for a stronger connection, something more intimate, is still inside of you. Does that feel right? Does that sound?
And not really, because I have a girlfriend right now, so.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. I might have been reaching on that one. Um, yeah, yeah, no problem. Um, yeah, that's tough. Have you considered the idea that really there just might be no way to fix this, that there may be a fundamental incompatibility with this person, and it's just never going to work out? What comes to mind when you think about that idea of just letting it go and you move on with your life?
Um, and as much as I want to do that, I just can't.
What do you mean by can't? What comes to mind when you think about that happening or committing to that path?
I just feel like I'm not gonna get over the emotions that I feel
Hmm.
until there's a solution that we can both be happy with.
Hmm. It's an interesting way to phrase it. A solution we can both be happy with. That's tough when you have, say, conflicting goals. Your goal may be to reconnect. This person's goal may be not to reconnect. And it may never be possible to change either one of your desires in that regard. So then the next question becomes, how do you live with the results? The idea that you have a frustrated goal that, it's not that they're a bad person. They didn't do anything wrong morally. It's just these feelings that can't be changed. You want a connection, they don't. Maybe time will fix it, and maybe it won't. And since you can't control other people, so in the sense of causing them to change what they want, the only possible path, the only option available is to find a way to be okay with not getting the outcome that you prefer. Does that make sense?
I also wanted to say that I didn't realize at the time why they didn't want to be friends, and I really regret that. And that I was blinded by that. I was kind of in denial.
Sure. So at the time that they distanced themselves from you, you didn't realize why they were upset, that you didn't have a clear understanding of how they felt in response to your behavior?
Yeah, I originally thought that they were just mad because I nicely gave them constructive criticism after the performance. And I didn't think it was how often I texted them at all.
Oh, yeah, that's very often a mismatch in, I want to say, personality and communication style. Some people love to send literally 1,000 texts a day, and that's just how they do. And other people are like, that's too many. I don't have time for that. I don't have the mental energy to put into that much communication. So there's, like I was saying before, it's not that anyone did anything wrong. It's not that your style is bad or their style is distanced necessarily, but it's I like to explain it where my wife and I are both very solitary people. We are married and we are committed and we love each other, and we would do anything for each other and we support each other. But there are some days where 13 hours straight I don't talk to her. But I'm not ignoring her. She's not ignoring me. We're just busy with our own things. We can sit in the same room for hours at a time and not say one word to each other, just a comfortable silence. We're both very quiet, introverted people that enjoy a lot of time alone, and it works for us. Whereas if I'd married someone who was hyper social, they need constant communication and interaction, I couldn't keep up. It would drain me. It would just, I'd be like, at some point you got to stop. And she would feel rejected because she wants more than I can give. And that's, again, neither one of us is wrong. That's just a kind of a personality mismatch that I don't know that either person can change, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can change how often I text. I actually had somewhat of a similar issue with my best friend, and
yeah,
maybe I've improved on that, and
yeah,
I think too.
yeah, and there's two things going on there. There is feedback from people you care about and want to stay connected with, telling you their boundaries. This is too much for me, and you modifying your approach. And again, it needs to be a good match. If you feel the need to text more than someone is comfortable receiving, there are two choices. You change, or they, I guess three choices. You change, they change, or you guys agree you can't make it work and you go your separate ways. It's kind of a three possible paths forward. And just in terms of regular life, we get feedback from people all the time. We have friends and other folks set boundaries, and we have to gauge, are we comfortable personally with those boundaries? Are we willing to sacrifice a little bit of what we want to accommodate their expressed desires as well? And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, sometimes it's too much. and that, as I say, that's the idea of no one's really wrong. It's just these personal preferences. It's like you're going to buy a pizza and somebody hates anchovies, like me, like no anchovies on my pizza, and you're like, man, I really love anchovies. I'm like, we need to get separate pizzas. I can't have anchovies on half a pizza. It's going to get the oils and the smell all over it, and so I couldn't share a pizza with someone who wanted anchovies. It would just turn my stomach. I wouldn't be able to eat it at all. So there's no compromise on that one. It's just not something I'm able to do. I feel like I'm rambling, but is that kind of making sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And so that's good, though. You were able to say make a compromise with your best friend, and tone down your texting a little bit, and that helped preserve the communication. Like the fact of staying connected was more important than how often you reach out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you had more to say about that or.
And the reason I can't let go is that I can't live with that regret and depression for the rest of my life.
Yeah, no, I wanted to come back around to that. That's a good point. You're looking back on having made the words that come to mind are like a hidden mistake, a mistake you were unaware of at the time. You didn't realize that you'd screwed up something, and now there's this kind of intense desire to fix it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And in your mind, the cons. Oh my goodness, the cat's tearing up my fan. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna leave it alone. That is probably what's bothering you more than even the loss of the connection, is the idea that you are so strongly desiring to fix a past mistake. And in your mind, the way to do it is to get their forgiveness and have them come back as a friend. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in psychology, they talk about closure, and closure can mean, it's like closing a door, the end of reaching the end of something that seems open-ended or never ending. So what you probably need, again, I'm not giving advice. This is not counseling or therapy, but you need some kind of closure on that. And you need some way to address that specifically within you, that feeling of regret and sadness and depression, as you said, over this mistake that can't be undone. The internet concept, what is seen cannot be unseen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is like behaviors that have been behaved cannot be unbehaved. It happened. That's a thing. It's in the past. You can apologize for it. You can take it back. You can say, I didn't mean it. I didn't realize it. I'm sorry, but you can't make it unhappen. So what you got to do is, or what I would do if I were in the same situation, is to find a way to, what is it? What's the word for that? There's a, internalize it, incorporate it, make it a part of you that this happened, that you don't like it, that you don't want to repeat it. Because sometimes the only thing you can do with negative emotions is use that as motivation to never repeat the mistake and do better in the future. And it's sometimes that act of commitment to a new path that helps dissolve the tension and fear and pain of those past events. Is that kind of making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a more complicated process, and I'm not using the right words or enough words for it, but the idea of unresolved past trauma, say, is it's unresolved because you haven't internalized it yet. You haven't made it a part of you in a meaningful way that gives you a path forward. It's some place your heart and your mind and your soul is stuck in the past, and you've got to kind of pull yourself forward into the now and say, here's my future orientation based on that past motivation. I'm using a lot of big words, but it's kind of like coming to terms with it and choosing a way forward. You got to get your brain and your focus out of the past, turn it around and look into the future and say, now what am I going to do? And making that decision about how to meaningfully incorporate that past mistake into who you want to be, who you're moving towards becoming, changes in behavior, that will help dissipate that stress and anxiety. Or it should, theoretically.
Mhm.
I I think this has bothered you enough that, and it's a source of ongoing stress to the degree that, have you considered talking to a school counselor, or do you have a real life, a therapist situation going on?
Yeah, but that doesn't really help me.
Have you talked to your therapist about this issue?
Yeah, my mom made me
Oh,
mention that in February, and when all
okay,
the stuff just came up, I did.
gotcha. Have you spoken with that person recently, or did you have just a few sessions and stop going?
They keep blocking me, but I haven't made any contact with them since everything happened last month.
Okay. So you said the therapist keeps reaching out for another appointment, but you haven't
Oh,
responded?
well, I thought you meant that we got another appointment scheduled um in a few weeks.
Okay. Okay. I think this dream and maybe even this conversation is something to share with that therapist. I think we're getting really close to the core of, um, this dream came back to you to remind you that something is important, that something needs to be seen and dealt with. And it's got a lot of elements of wishful thinking, but it's also bringing your attention back to the core struggle, the stress that's on your mind currently, what's occupying your attention and your background processing. Um, yeah, and I think finding a way to resolve this is going to be key. There's a good chance you're spending a lot of mental energy on this that would be better spent elsewhere. And what I mean is not that this isn't important, but that I think if you did actually spend more mental energy on other things, this would start to feel less important. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah, there's kind of a sense of obsessing and dwelling on the past and living in doubt, fear, uncertainty, that kind of thing. Um, and there's an active process of choosing to focus on other things, and choosing is the thing. By choice, I'm going to set this aside, I'm going to let it be, and I'm going to focus my energies, my attention, and draw, most importantly, I'd say draw strength, draw self satisfaction, draw a sense of purpose. um, what am I saying? Build yourself up in focusing on other things that give you a sense of accomplishing something. Is that making sense?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the more you do that, the more you diversify your personality. Like, you are not simply this one person who is completely dependent on whether or not someone else likes me. I am all these other things that I do and I can do, and skills and interests. You diversify that and build it up and invest more time and energy in that. And that, as that becomes more important to your sense of who you are, the other stuff, the past mistakes, become so much easier to let go. And I think that'll be part of the process too. Again, these are just ideas, suggestions. I think definitely bringing up this whole issue and spending some time on it with the therapist is going to be a good idea. Hopefully they can help you come up with a game plan. Okay, what does it look like to do this? How do I make that happen? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, you don't have to have an answer right away. Hopefully, most importantly, out of all this, I would hope that you get ideas to consider, that you get possibilities set before you, and you can pick and choose. This is all up to you. You have complete, control over this process. You get to choose what to do. You may not be able to control your feelings, but you can always control your actions and your choices, and say, I feel this way, but I got to do this for reasons, or I feel this way, so yeah, that's what I'm interested in. That's where I'm going to go. That's important to know that you have that personal power to make choices, and that. What is he eating? My cat's going nuts. Oh, he's in my paper shredder box. He's shredding the paper for me with this. Hey, go for it. Well, I think we've talked for a long time, and I've talked way too much. I'm sorry about that. Do you have more questions or ideas that you wanted to share? Elements of the dream to go back and discuss? I forgot we were actually talking about a dream here for a minute.
No.
Do you feel pretty good about our talk? Like we've covered some important information, and you've gained at least some new things to consider?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, dreams are as much as a window into the subconscious, they're also a door through which we can enter into a conversation about important parts of your life that need to be examined. Is kind of what dreams do for us. It shines a light on things and says, hey, pay attention to this. This is important. So, yeah, you feel good about it? You want to wrap it up and let you get on with your day?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and end the stream, and then you hang out with me just a few minutes after I say goodbye to folks and stop the recording. So I'll just say thank you, friends, for joining us for another episode of Dreamscapes. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again, Katie.
You're welcome.